What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my review for the 1998 movie Halloween H20 20 years later. So this movie is directed by Steve Miner, who had previously directed Friday the 13th part 2 and 3, which I either knew this and forgot, or I just don't remember it, but for some reason it was really shocking to me seeing his name in the credits this time. I think I did know it, I just totally forgot though. But I think that's awesome that he directed this movie. But this one kind of retcons the franchise, and instead of being a sequel to The Curse of Michael Myers, this one is more of a direct sequel to Halloween 2 and everything. There was not really any references to 4, 5, and 6, so it's not really a sequel to those movies and everything. So it's pretty much the third Halloween movie, if that makes sense, because you got Season of the Witch, which was not really part of the franchise. Then you got Halloween 4, which is technically Halloween 3, and I'm gonna confuse yourself. I'm confusing myself just talking about it, so I'm not gonna try to confuse y'all anymore. But you get what I'm saying. But in this one, Laurie Strode has faked her death and gone into hiding from Michael, and he finds her at a private boarding school in California and is going after her on Halloween night. But this is a decent movie. I like it. I liked it a lot more when I was younger. It was one of the ones that few Halloween movies that I did watch when I was a kid, but to be honest, I didn't really remember it very well when I watched it back then and everything, because I wasn't as interested in it since I hadn't seen the other ones. But I did watch it like once and everything, and wasn't really interested in it. But now that I'm older and stuff and had seen the other movies and everything, this one is one that I think is just alright. Jamie Lee Curtis is really good in here as Laurie Strode and stuff, although I don't think she's quite as good in this one as she is the first two movies or the 2018 version. I think that she just wasn't as into playing Laurie in these movies, and I've heard there was a lot of big behind the scenes stuff going on between her and the Weinsteins and stuff like that. They had a lot of issues, and from what I understand, she didn't really want to do this movie, but she ended up deciding to go ahead and do it. And I know for a while she wanted to ignore the horror genre and stuff, and I'm glad she's finally gotten to where she embraces it and stuff and everything. But I think she still was pretty good as Laurie in this movie and everything. I think her portrayal of the PTSD and stuff in this movie is really well written and stuff. To me, that part of the story I think is better done in this one than it was 2018 from what I remember. I'll talk more about that when I get to that movie, but the PTSD portrayal and stuff was really good in here, and I liked John, her son, played by Josh Hartnett, in his very first movie role. I think that he's pretty good in here, and I did like him and everything. I do kind of wish that they would have, there was originally part in the script where they were going to acknowledge the other movies and make it where Laurie finds out that Jamie died and stuff and everything. I kind of wish we would have gotten to see that. I think it would have been a cool little way to keep the series progressing and stuff, but at the same time I understand why they wanted to separate it, because the Thorn stuff is just really hard to follow and just kind of convoluted and stuff, so I get why they went the route they did and everything. The rest of the cast in here is pretty good too. Adam Arkin is Laurie's boyfriend. Will Brennan is pretty good and everything. I think him and Jamie Lee Curtis work decent enough together. Not the best chemistry, but they work good enough together. And Michelle Williams as John's girlfriend, Molly, she didn't have a lot to do in here, but it's Michelle Williams. I love her. She's a really great actress and everything. So whenever she's on screen, there's just something about her. I love her screen presence, and I've always kind of had a little bit of a crush on her ever since I was a little kid when I used to watch Dawson's Creek and stuff. I always liked her and everything. There's just something about Michelle Williams that I find really likable, and she's really good in the role. Even though she doesn't have a lot to do, she just makes the movie a little bit better. And one of my other favorite characters in this movie that a lot of people don't really talk about is LL Cool J as Ronnie. He's like the security guard of the boarding school and stuff. I really like him. I've always thought he was a really likable character. I love the little stuff with him talking to his wife on the phone, and he's reading these stories that he's writing and stuff and everything. But he's likable and stuff, and way better use of a rapper in a Halloween movie than what we got in the next movie, which I'll talk more about that when I get to that movie. But I think LL Cool J's character Ronnie is kind of underrated. He doesn't have a lot to do in here, but he's great in the little bit we get. He kind of has a little bit of a comedic relief to him, but they don't go over the top with the humor and stuff that make it work just perfectly and everything. In the scene when you think that he's shot and stuff, I actually really felt bad for him when you think that he's dead and everything after he accidentally gets shot and everything, and then find out that he's still alive, which I thought was awesome. And the cameo at the beginning of the movie from Joseph Gordon-Levitt is awesome too and everything. He's another one that I used to love in the 90s. He was in a lot of stuff that I watched as a kid, and I like a lot of his stuff as an adult too. So yeah, I actually totally forgot he was even in this movie at the beginning until I started watching. I was like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. And he's really good in here too, and just the few minutes of screen time he's in here, but he's likable and everything. I've always liked him, and but yeah, I really enjoy this movie. I think it's a pretty decent sequel. I don't think it's super great though, and the kills in here are just, to be honest, not very memorable. I think my favorite one is maybe when he kills Charlie and everything. He slits his throat and puts him in the dumbwaiter, and then Charlie's girlfriend Sarah ends up escaping, and she's in the dumbwaiter with him, and Michael kills her. I think hers is pretty brutal too, if I remember right. And then he hangs her up, and that's when Molly and John find her and everything. She's hanging up with the light going through her body and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool scene and everything. But Chris Durand is okay as Michael Myers, but he might actually be my least favorite out of the actors that have played Michael Myers up to this point. I don't know that I could say he's my very least favorite, because I don't really like what they did with him in the next movie. So I'm not sure if he came back to play him in the next one. I can't remember. But I don't think Chris Durand was terrible. I don't think he was super great though. He got the job done, but there were better portrayals, like George Pete Wilbur and Nick Castle are both way better at playing Michael than Chris Durand was. But I think he's fine, I guess, for this movie and everything. I like that it does kind of have that Scream vibe, like the late 2000s or late 90s, early 2000s horror movies did and stuff. And Kevin Williamson did help with some of the writing in here, although he went uncredited and everything, and you could tell it and everything. But I did like what they did in with some of it, and I love that they showed them watching Scream 2. I thought that was pretty cool and everything. Cool little reference to that. Like the first Scream movie paid homage to Halloween by showing them watching it, and this one shows them watching Scream 2. So I thought that was kind of just a cool little homage thing and everything. And one of the references, I don't know if it was intended or not, but right before Charlie gets killed and he's leaving his friends and stuff, he says he'll be right back. To me, it first thing I think of anytime I'm watching a horror movie and they say that is the scene in Scream when they say the thing about you say you're gonna be right back, you're gonna die, and stuff like that. I don't know if that was meant to be a reference or not, but if it was, I caught it. But yeah, I think this is a decent movie, and I don't really care for the score though. John Ottman and Marco Beltrami did the score for it, and to me it just kind of felt generic and everything, and it felt like it was trying to be too much like Scream with the score and everything, which I don't mind the score in Scream, but it just didn't fit in a Halloween movie. I didn't really like the revamped version of the theme song and everything, but I did like the song though that was playing during the end credits. I think it's by Creed, but I did like that song, but the score just wasn't as good, and the cinematography it's fine and everything, but it just didn't stand out like some of the other Halloween movies and stuff. It could have been better or worse, but all in all, I think that Halloween H20 is an okay movie, but it's not one of my most favorites. It's not one of the ones that I'd want to go to if I'm gonna watch a Halloween movie or anything. And it'd be one of the ones it's not one that I'd want to go to, and it's not one of my favorites out of this particular timeline in the franchise, although it's miles better than what we get next. And I did like the ending and stuff when I saw it the first time I watched it. That ending just totally blew my mind when Laurie decapitated Michael and stuff, and of course the beginning of Resurrection just totally runs out, but that ending really shocked me when I watched it the first time and everything, or in recent years. I'm not going to say as a kid. As a kid, I didn't really think anything of it because I didn't know anything really about the franchise, but this was probably the first Halloween movie I ever watched. But like I said, I don't really count it as the first one because I don't really remember it, and I don't even know if I watched the entire thing back then because, like I said, I just didn't really get into it because I wasn't really familiar with the Halloween franchise at that time. But I always have said that I consider Rob Zombie's Halloween the first one that I ever really saw all the way through in the franchise, but I did watch part of this at least as a kid. So I'd say I'd give Halloween H20 a 7 out of 10. It's an alright movie, it's watchable and everything. It has some good performances and everything, and Michelle Williams especially is just a plus. She's just a delight to watch. I love Michelle Williams, but I wouldn't say this is a super great movie, not a terrible one either. It just is okay and everything. It's a big step up from the last movie, and then we get the next one, which is a huge step down from both this one and the last one. But yeah, anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Halloween H20, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.